video I'll cover some of the commands relating to the Oracle cluster registry in a grid cluster installation for Oracle RAC. So the first command you would know is the OCR check command. OCR check shows you the locations of the OCR. You should have at least 2 locations in a production environment. Here I have created my OCR in 3 locations: the OCR word disk group that I created initially, FRA disk group, and also data disk group. So and it gives me the size of the OCR, the cluster registry. Remember, the cluster registry contains information about all the cluster resources which you would see when you run crsetl, status resource, and other commands relating to the resources. If you run the OCR check command as non-root user, you would not be able to do a logical corruption check. So you could run it as root also, and it also checks logical corruption. I can run the command from either node. So here also from the second node of the cluster, it shows me the same 3 locations of the OCR. Now in 19C, by default, the OCR is automatically backed up every 4 hours to an ASM disk group, and then every day, and then every week. So there are multiple levels of backups. So if I want to see those backups, so it says the default location for OCR backups is the OCR word disk group. So these are all the backups that are being created. Some were created on 10 July, which was a few days ago when I had brought up the cluster and had it running for some time. So some are, you can see some of them are 4-hourly backups, some are daily backups. If you have cluster running for a number of days, you'll see multiple 4-hourly backups and then daily backups and weekly backups. In my case, I don't have the cluster running for long periods of time, so I don't have too many 4-hourly backups, but I do have manual backups. So if I were to run a manual backup, for example, I'll run it from here. Okay, so you can see there's a manual backup that was created today. Hold on, just attending to something else here. Okay, so there's a manual backup that was created 13 July, and where is that backup? 9:35. This is the manual backup. Okay, so the manual backups are listed at the bottom of the listing. These are all manual backups that have been taken earlier. So the manual backups go to ASM disk group. In 11G R2, I had seen many all OCR backups go to Filesystem, but here they go to ASM disk groups. So you can actually copy them out. Obviously, you'd want to do that to copy them out so that you can do Filesystem backups to other devices. So you can just run them through asmcmd. I'll just go to this location. Okay, so these are all the manual backups. I can copy out which is the latest backup. Let's see. So 13 July, and these are all, you can see the timestamps also. Let's take this backup. Here the timestamp gets rounded off. You can see 900 and 900, but here I can see the actual times, 9:35 and 9:13. So I'll just take any one of these 2 backups that I did today. So this is the OCR backup that I took out from the ASM disk group. So you will always have multiple backups in ASM, but you can also opt to copy them out using the asmcmd commands. Now besides the OCR, you also have something called the OLR. Okay. So you can identify the location of the OLR. So if I were to go to this location, each server has its own local registry. Sorry. Each server has local registry because OCR is in ASM, and unless ASM starts up, the OCR cannot be accessed. So the grid infrastructure first has to read the local registry and then identify all the devices which belong to ASM, then bring up ASM and then access the OCR which is inside ASM. So the OLR is also very important, and here you can see also there are automatic backups of the OLR. On this node also I will see there is an OLR. So this is designated as server 2. So you have automatic backups of the OLR, and you can see the OLR also is getting updated. It got updated recently, so you should not back up the OLR while it is being updated. You should back up a backup of the OLR to your own backup devices. You so you can take a export of the OLR. For example, you say oops, okay, the export has to be done as root. So let me just do this again as root. So this is the OCR backup I took a little while ago, using copying it out from ASM, and this is the OLR backup I took using the ocrconfig -loc command. And the OCR backup to ASM, of course, is within the manual backup command within the ASM disk group. So how do I have multiple locations for my OCR? I have 3 locations. I could say OCR check. The OCR always has to be on the shared storage, which is the ASM. So in this case I had 3 copies of OCR. I deleted the copy that is in the data disk group by using this command, and now I have 2 copies. I can create a copy again. Remember, you should not use the asmcmd to create copies. Just like you should not backup manually, you should use the OCR commands to backup the OCR or the OLR. Similarly, to make a copy of the OCR, you should use the OCR command. So you can just say ocrconfig -add. So now I have 3 locations for the OCR. I can verify that from here as well. So just note the difference between the OCR check and the OCR config. The OCR check can do a logical check and a physical check, and it lists you the locations of the OCR. OCR config command can add a new location for the OCR and can create backups of the OCR or the OLR. So just to go through some of the commands again. This is the command you would use to add a 4th location of the OCR within ASM. This is the command you'd use to delete the data disk group location of the OCR. This is the command you'd use to identify where the backups go to automatically. This is the command to list all the backups that are in ASM. This is the command to create a manual backup, again into ASM. This is the command for the OLR, ocrconfig minus local means OLR. And this is the command you would use to take an export backup of the OLR to a file system. So OLR is always on file system, OCR is always on ASM. OLR backups can be OLR backups will be created in the file system automatically, but OCR backups will always be created inside the ASM disk group. Thank you.